Hello, beautiful. This is Shannon Ayers again. I am coming to you to talk about something that really disturbed my spirit this morning while scrolling through Facebook. I am part of a women's group, one of many, as we all are part of a bunch of different groups on Facebook. And the administrator of this particular women's group posted this. Just bear with me. I'm going to read this and then I have some thoughts on this. Black women. And this is referring to Tracee Ellis Ross and her being on the cover of Elle magazine. Yes, so her father is white, and because of those genetics, her hair is 3B at its absolute kinkiest and curliest. For jobs in the entertainment business, nobody would refuse to hire this woman. Her hair is not discriminated against. It's actually preferred to my Black mama, Black daddy 4C hair. So why is Tracee Ellis Ross leading the conversation on natural hair, talking to majority white leadership, Elle magazine? I said biracial women are the main representatives of Black femininity in the media and the face and voice of the natural hair movement, to the detriment and erasure of monoracial brown-skinned Black women. I only need to hear from Black women. Thanks. Okay, so you will hear from this Black woman. First and foremost, the reason why that disturbed me on so many levels is because I will venture to say that this young lady doesn't even know Tracee Ellis Ross. What really bothered me about this particular article is because as I was dialoguing with with another person who responded on this post, this young lady was saying that Tracee Ellis Ross should not represent Black women because she's biracial, she's not Black. First and foremost, for complete transparency, I identify as Black because that's the culture that I was raised in, and that's all I knew growing up and even as an adult. There are so many things about the term Black, I'm sure many can relate, that culturally we have so many things wrapped up in the term Black that it's hard not to say Black. Again, living in America, it's also hard not to say the term white, especially with all of the craziness and the racism and the Karens and the silliness that we're dealing with right now, and then the heinous killings of Black men at the hands of police officers and Black women, our Breonna Taylors, Ahmaud Arbery's, our George Floyd's, and all of this stuff that's going on that's only coming to the surface right now. This is why this bothers me. It doesn't mean that we cannot deal with more than one issue at one time within our culture. But I really think that we have better things to do with our time than to tell Ms. Tracee Ellis Ross who she should identify as. What I find most interesting is the whole concept of the term Black or the term white. It came from a place of discrimination. It came from a place of dehumanizing us as human beings. Calling us Black was meant to demean us, to demoralize us, to make us feel inferior or less than. And then the term white was meant to be something great, something that was, a privilege, something that was just, and so down the line, so many years, we've embraced that term, just like, some of us within our culture have embraced the term nigger. Speaking about women in particular, when it comes to our hair, I am the second to the oldest of 11 sisters and brothers. And I guarantee you, all 11 of us, our hair texture is different. Some of us have long hair. Some of us have short hair. Some of us have straighter hair. Some of us have kinkier hair. Some of us are light. Some of us are dark. Some of us are in between. I take exception with anyone that will dare tell someone how Black they are or lack thereof, especially when it comes from somebody that looks like me. We don't realize how much we reinforce a negative narrative and stereotype and just division within our community when we get to telling one another what we can call ourselves, when we get to telling one another, you know what, you're not Black enough. You know what, you're too Black. These are things that didn't even come from us, but yet we've adopted a lot of this foolishness. I don't personally know Tracee Ellis Ross. I've always thought that she was a beautiful young lady long before I knew who her mother was. To find out who her mother was, it was an added bonus. Some of the commentary that went on that post was, even to a certain extent trying to demonize Diana Ross because she was with two different white men and had children by, white men. We spend so much time and energy finding ways to pick each other apart and tearing each other down. We don't know these people, but we sit behind tweets, we sit behind posts, and find ways to capitalize off of our own demise. And you want to know who it hurts the most? Our babies. Because we reinforce negative narratives. We reinforce some of the very worst parts of our community. One of the reasons why I started Hello Beautiful, it wasn't just about Black women or, it wasn't about white women. It was about women in general. From my experience traveling the world and meeting some incredible individuals, from every background, every color, every quote unquote race, that still have women issues. Now, we have a lot of ignorant people out there. We have a lot of, people out there who, look at people like me and think that I'm inferior or think that I'm this. Okay, that's on them. Hello Beautiful is about empowering us to understand our own beauty by design. Society does not define my beauty. A magazine does not define my beauty. A tweet or a post does not define my beauty. Whoever they choose to put on the front of a magazine or in a commercial, it does not define my beauty. Because at the end of the day, Black or white, 9 times out of 10, it's all about money and what sells. Has there been a problem over the years where they would put a lot of people who are either light-skinned or curly hair or who fall? Of course, we know that that's a reality. I've also seen over the years where some of that is starting to change. We still have a long way to go before we can even get close to where we should be, just as a body of human beings, especially given the current racial climate. We know about the injustices. We know what's going on in the world present day, and none of this is new. It's just all coming to the surface right now. But I challenge those of us that look like me, whether male, female, whatever, light skin, dark skin, curly hair, kinky hair, straight hair, whatever kind of hair it is you choose to wear. I challenge you and us not to buy into the negativity that divides our community. Like many people, when it came to Kamala Harris, when Kamala Harris first hit the stage, when I tell you I was a proud woman of color, when I saw the way she would rip into and tear into as part of her interrogations in Congress, I just thought it was awesome. And I'm like, she looks like me. My thought wasn't, oh, you know what? She's a little too light skinned to represent. Her hair is a little too straight. Oh, wait a minute. And she has a white husband. Those were not my initial thoughts. Then as time had gone on and when she had become a presidential candidate, like many of you, when certain things started coming out about her record, and then it's like, oh, hold up, wait a minute. I'm no different than anybody else. And anybody knows me, I keep it straight, I keep it real, and I'll tell you the truth. I was questioning certain things about her myself. And then one day I really had to stop and think. One of my biggest pet peeves about media is that I understood, even as a young child, that the media is going to show us what they want us to see. Now, all media is not bad, and I don't buy into the craziness that 45 always talks about when he talks about fake news and all other craziness. There's no pure news media, none. Whether you talk about Fox, MSNBC, CNN, all of them, none of them are pure. You do have some exceptional journalists and some exceptional analysts that take their jobs very seriously and want to report as accurate as they possibly can. But you also have some of them that really want the ratings. It's the nature of the beast. If any of them are not pulling in ratings, guess what? They won't be on there, because at the end of the day, it's about money. But we have to be careful not to always be so quick to jump on the bandwagon the moment we see something in the news breaks, and talking about race and talking about discrimination and even, talking about our own, and quick to post or tweet or get the tea, which that term is really starting to irritate me. That's my own personal pet peeve. No judgment, no shade on anybody. That's just my own personal pet peeve. But I'm just hoping that as a community of people that we do better than what we're doing. I'm hoping that we can stop first and think before we act, and stop and think before we post or before we tweet, when it comes to tearing each other down and placing judgment and placing ourselves as the moral authority and the keepers of the race. And most of these people that we're talking about, we don't know who these people are. We don't know anything about these people. All we know is what we see on TV or what we read that somebody else wrote about them. I say take the time to get to know somebody. Do a little research. Read something, and not just automatically assume that we know all about these people's lives. It really is tearing down our community. I sometimes feel like there's just no hope for, our current generations, and that hopefully our babies that are coming up now, that are being exposed to more, that are seeing more, that have more resources at their fingertips, that they will take the time to get it right. Because again, I've been guilty of it myself, but we have to do better. The whole thought of this one drop rule, the truth be told, civilization started on the continent of Africa, then we all have one drop, regardless of how much whiter than white or blacker than black, or, whatever it is that we see. We can't make any assumptions. So we just got to do better. That article really disturbed me on so many levels, and I just want to see us do better and be better. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen. And just like I said, just please don't be that one that's reinforcing that narrative. Take the time to read, take the time to get some more information before we cast judgment and tear our community down. So thank you, be blessed, and be inspired.